On Sunday, July 4th, 2021, 21-year-old Melisa Palacios left her house to meet an old friend, but she never came back. After hours with no communication, it was clear that something bad had happened. At first, no one knew anything, but once investigators uncovered surveillance footage, it revealed who Melisa was with that night, and the discovery shocked everyone. They knew who that was. They had asked that same friend if she had seen Melisa the day she disappeared, and they were clearly lied to. But why would this friend lie? What did they have to hide? And what actually happened to Melisa? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing super well. Thank you all so much for being here and for taking the time to listen to today's video. Today, we're going to be talking about a case from Guatemala. 21-year-old Melisa Palacios was set up by someone she once trusted, who has now made videos from prison mocking the justice system. You know, she makes videos talking about how she believes she'll be let free. It's extremely infuriating, and what Melisa's family has had to go through is just so horrendous. My heart just breaks for them. So we're going to talk about Melisa's life, the day of the events, the investigation, and the brutal aftermath that her family and loved ones have had to endure since 2021. This is just a truly heartbreaking case, and it's just so infuriating how this person accused of murdering Melisa is mocking the family from prison and just laughing and thinks that this is all just a big joke. There's a lot of information to go through, and again, I just want to thank you guys so much for being here and just always showing so much support. You guys are seriously the best, and before we get into the video, I do just want to take a quick moment to thank today's sponsor for supporting this channel. Thank you to MeUndies for sponsoring this video. Okay, so you guys know that feeling when the air gets crisp, the leaves start to turn, and you finally get to pull out that oversized sweater again? Yeah, that feeling is the best, and fall is seriously my season. Fashion is one of my favorite parts of the season, and MeUndies is the perfect addition to my outfits. Their micromodal fabric is like a warm hug. It's lightweight, it's breathable, and honestly perfect for layering season. It's one of those things that you don't realize you need until you try it, and now I'm obsessed. And speaking of obsessed, MeUndies just dropped their new Halloween collection, and it is so good. My favorites are the spiderweb all over lace, it's as gorgeous as it sounds, and the glow-in-the-dark undies. They're playful, a little spooky, and somehow still flirty. The new collection is so cute, but if you're looking for the basics, no worries, MeUndies has something for everyone. There are over 20 different cuts and more than 100 colors and prints to choose from. Their signature super soft micromodal fabric is breathable, stretchy, and just so cozy. It's perfect for when I'm layering up for a fall walk, if I'm just lounging in my cozy PJs all day, or just running around in the crisp morning air. And if you're more active, check out their Breathe line. It's moisture wicking, anti-odor, and keeps you fresh whether you're at the gym or out pumpkin picking. They use sustainably sourced materials and partner with factories that take care of their workers. Plus, they've got this problem-free philosophy. Not happy with your first pair? It's on them, no hassle. And it's not just me hyping them up. MeUndies has sold over 30 million pairs and has more than 90,000 5-star reviews. I recently started using linen pants, and let me tell you, MeUndies are the only pair that work with these pants. Linen pants can sometimes be see-through, and it's kind of a struggle to figure out what to wear underneath. However, if I pop on my pair from the Dream Seam collection, you cannot tell that I'm wearing anything under these pants, and the seamless collection is actually unreal. It doesn't give you that little muffin top or anything like that. It is just so seamless. So right now, as a listener of my channel, you can get cozy and spooky for less with deals up to 50% off. Just head to MeUndies.com/Jackie and enter promo code Jackie. That's MeUndies.com/Jackie, promo code Jackie for up to 50% off. MeUndies, comfort that's made for fall. Thank you to MeUndies for supporting this channel, and with that, let's get into this video. Melisa Alejandra Palacios Chacon was born on November 15, 1999. She grew up with her mom, Anabela, and her sister Daniela in San Jorge, Zacapa, Guatemala. Anabela worked as an agent in the country's National Civil Police Force, a job that kept her away from her house for very long hours and took up most of her time. Because of that, Melisa and Daniela spent most of their days with their maternal grandmother in San Jorge, Zacapa. Melisa's grandmother became a very important figure in her life, just always caring for her and being like a second mom. Melisa helped around the house as well. She made sure that her grandmother took her medication and was always attentive to whatever she needed. The family recalls how she was the heart of their gatherings and how she cared so much for others. For example, when she was younger, she would ask her mom if they could give food to the vendors who would pass in the neighborhood, saying, "Please, let's give them food. What if they didn't sell anything today?" Which I think is so sweet and shows just how thoughtful she truly was. Her family recalls how she liked playing soccer, going on walks, and always carried a big smile. She also absolutely adored animals and loved her pet dogs more than anything. Her family says she didn't really go clubbing, she didn't go out at night or just get crazy on the weekends or, do things like that. They said that she was super focused on her school and preferred spending time at home with her family or just doing more casual things with her friends. She was overall a happy girl and she had a bright future ahead of her. Although she loved animals, when she grew up and it was time to decide what she wanted to do, she didn't choose a career in veterinary or animal care. Instead, Melisa enrolled in the public accounting and auditing program at the Eastern University Center of the University of San Carlos of Guatemala. It was something different, but she was doing well and enjoyed it. By mid 2021, Melisa was 21 years old and had completed her technical degree in auditing and had passed her exams, which was just a huge milestone that made her family incredibly proud of her. She went on to begin her third year of the full program and had the clear goal of becoming a licensed auditor. Her dream was to excel in this career one day so that she could help out her family, and I think that is so selfless and just kind and beautiful. She was not only doing this for herself, she was thinking of her family during all those hard late night study sessions, and seeing her family be so proud of her and being able to help them motivated her and pushed her. Her family often says that she was very responsible and someone who was a huge example of perseverance. She would always give her sister inspiring talks and motivate her to do well in school because she wanted those around her to be the best versions of themselves and to never settle. That outlook on life and her hard work and dedication made her future look full of possibilities. Unfortunately, her family would never see her fulfill those goals and accomplish all of those dreams because of what happened on Sunday, July 4th, 2021. That day, Melisa called her mom, who was at work, and asked for her permission to go to a friend's birthday lunch that she was having with her family. It was super casual. Her mom said yes, but under one condition, that someone picks her up and then drops her off after. Her mom disliked her using public transportation, given how dangerous it can be, especially as a young woman alone. So Melisa said yes, that wasn't a problem because her friend's brother was going to pick her up, so she had a ride there and a ride back. With this, Annabella gave her permission. Melisa began getting ready, and at around 1:14 p.m., she left the house. She was wearing a green dress with white sneakers, and she was holding a gift in her hand. Her grandmother gave her a blessing before she left and told her to just be careful, as she always did. And with that, Melisa was off. At around 2:30 in the afternoon, she sent a voice message to one of her friends who was also going to this lunch party, telling her that she was on her way but that she was running late. She mentioned that she had gone with a friend, but she didn't give a name. However, she told her that their car had a flat tire. She asked her friend to let the others know that she would be arriving late because of this.
Va a decirle a la Marisa, aunque no sé a qué horas vaya a llegar vos, porque aquí me vine con una amiga hasta Riondo y pinchamos vos. Entonces, yo te aviso, aunque vos siempre avisar a ella.
Again, she didn't mention which friend she was with in the car. At around 5 p.m., her mom called Melisa just to check in on her, just to see how the lunch was going, and just to confirm what time she would be coming home, but Melisa never answered. The family then reached out to the home where the lunch party was being held, and that is when they informed the family that Melisa never made it. She never showed up. Immediately, Annabella just knew that something was incredibly wrong. This wasn't like her daughter. She would have called, she would have texted, she would have let someone know that she was either running late, that she wasn't going to show up, or that something had happened. So for her to go silent so abruptly was not normal, and it just gave her mom a really bad feeling. So she wasted no time and she went straight to the authorities and told them what happened. She requested that the Isabel Claudina alert be activated, which is Guatemala's emergency alert system for missing women, and an immediate search began that evening. Now, we've actually discussed the Isabel Claudina alert before on this channel, which was made in memory of Maria Isabel Veliz Franco and Claudina Isabel Velázquez Pais. Both were murdered in Guatemala in the early 2000s, and when their families tried to report them as missing, they were told that they had to wait 48 hours before they could begin any search parties, which we've heard very often before on this channel. So the Isabel Claudina report was created to initiate searches immediately after a family reports someone as missing. So because of this, authorities began searching for Melisa right away. But that search wouldn't last long, and it wouldn't end how they all had wanted it to. Because the next day, on July 5th, a group of people gathering firewood in a wooded area near a dirt road in the village of La Palma in Rio Hondo, Zacapa, discovered the body of a young woman. Municipal firefighters arrived and confirmed that whoever this woman was because she had been dead for at least 24 hours and had been murdered. The body showed signs of extreme violence and she appeared to have been brutally stoned to death. Melisa's family immediately rushed to the scene, hoping that it was not her. But once they got there, they were faced with their worst nightmare. Unfortunately, the body matched the description of Melisa, and after they arrived, her body was positively identified. Melisa was gone. Her family was crying over her body, and they were in complete disbelief. Melisa had just been left there after the brutal attack, alone in the middle of nowhere throughout the night. It was as if her life had no value, and learning that was absolutely devastating for the family. It enraged them. Forensic experts later confirmed that she was also strangled and that she died from severe trauma to her skull and to her face as a result of multiple blows. Now, there was no evidence of essay, but experts concluded that the attack showed it was done with intense hatred and resentment. Who would have so much hatred and resentment towards her? She was a kind young woman. It just made no sense. Her family, of course, wanted answers and they wanted to get justice, but all they could think about first was laying Melisa to rest. The following day, on July 6th, Melisa's wake was held. Her family and friends gathered over her coffin, comforted one another, and demanded justice through tears. The next day, her funeral took place in San Jorge, where dozens of people attended, many of them crying while others carried white balloons, and they all walked together to the cemetery where they laid her to rest. Her family then had to say their final goodbye. They just couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that Melisa was gone forever, and they had no idea who was evil enough and capable of doing something so horrendous or why. That day started off normal, just like any other. Melisa was going to a friendly lunch with her friends to celebrate a friend's birthday. It was supposed to be a perfectly normal and simple day, so how did she end up here? The family was just absolutely heartbroken, and investigators got to work quickly, piecing together details, and what came out of their investigation truly shocked everyone. The investigation pointed to just not one, but two possible suspects. Authorities recovered messages on Melisa's phone showing that on the day she disappeared, she had arranged to meet with a woman named Maria Fernanda Bonilla Archila, a previous school classmate who was now a pilot. They figured out that on that Sunday, Melisa agreed to meet with Maria Fernanda, but not alone. Alongside Maria Fernanda was her bodyguard, Jose Luis Marroquino Valle, who worked for her and her family and went almost everywhere with her. Along with these text messages and calls showing that they planned to meet up together, security cameras also proved this. Footage showed Maria Fernanda and Jose Luis picking Melisa up that day. Using more security cameras along the route, authorities were able to reconstruct the drive and it led directly to the remote grassy area in Rio Hondo. That was the very same place where Melisa was later found, and the same place where she mentioned that she and her friend, whom she didn't name, got a flat tire. It was then that investigators concluded that Melisa had been taken there and then brutally attacked. Now, they needed to find Maria Fernanda and Jose Luis immediately to get more answers, as this clearly didn't look good for them. However, when police went to go search for them, they actually couldn't find them. The two people who were last seen with Melisa the day she was killed were now gone. They had fled and authorities could not find them. For Melisa's family, learning this was absolutely shocking. It was not who they were expecting to be behind this horrific attack because, again, the medical examiner said that whoever did this had an intense hatred for Melisa. So for the family to learn that another woman had done this, let alone like her ex-classmate slash friend, they couldn't believe this. Like, it didn't make sense to them. On top of just Maria Fernanda being her ex-classmate and her friend, the family was also shooken up by this because they had already spoken to Maria Fernanda soon after Melisa disappeared. In the hours after she went missing, her sister Daniela had called numerous friends of Melisa asking if they had seen her or if they knew anything about her whereabouts, and one of them was Maria Fernanda. She had told her no, that she hadn't seen Melisa and claimed that they actually hadn't spoken to each other in more than a year. Daniela believed her because, why wouldn't she? And she continued reaching out to different friends and different, classmates to figure out what happened to her. Later, Maria Fernanda actually reached out and called the family herself, asking if there were any news or updates about Melisa. She then called a second time, asking again for any more updates, and then she went as far as to offer them to use a helicopter to help them with the search. She literally was like, well, I'm a pilot, I can use a helicopter to help you find and just figure out, where Melisa could have gone to. She pretended to help Melisa's desperate family look for her, all while knowing that she had been with Melisa that day and already knew that her body was already lying lifeless in the middle of nowhere. It's sick, it's disgusting, and it's just completely inhumane. So obviously, when Melisa's family found out that she was with her that day and that she was one of the suspects, they were furious, they felt so betrayed, they felt so scared and just confused, and they just wanted them found as soon as possible so that they could pay for what they did. The search for the two went on for over a month, but finally on August 25th, 2021, both Maria Fernanda and her bodyguard, Jose Luis, were finally captured in San Lucas, Zacatepeques. They had been declared fugitives after police failed to locate them, but Maria Fernanda justified her absence by saying that she was a pilot, so it was common for her to just hop on a plane and leave town. Around a month after they were captured, they were formally linked to Melisa's homicide. Now, we know that Maria Fernanda and Melisa were friends. However, it's not confirmed what the exact relationship between them really was. There have been a lot of reports about the two having a romantic relationship at one point and recently breaking up before the murder, and other reports claiming that Maria Fernanda was, quote, obsessive, and that she got angry when Melisa didn't give her the sort of relationship that she desired back. That it's possible Melisa rejected her, and this caused Maria Fernanda to just snap. Her family, however, says that Melisa didn't have any romantic relationships at the time, and that she even told her family that she wanted to graduate from school before even thinking about dating. So again, the exact relationship between Melisa and Maria Fernanda is not really known. We can obviously see that Melisa was with them through security footage, but what has been said from the public prosecutor's office is that Maria Fernanda had lured Melisa out of her home and together with her bodyguard Jose Luis took her to that rural area to attack her. The key evidence included testimonies, messages recovered from their phones where Maria Fernanda and Jose Luis literally plotted the murder. These text messages were honestly shocking to read. In the messages, Maria Fernanda tells her bodyguard that they're going to do something tomorrow, that they couldn't tell anyone about it, and that she was going to beat Melisa until killing her, to which Luis just casually agreed to. He was like, yeah, perfect, sounds good, I'll see you there. It's actually crazy, and Maria Fernanda didn't specifically name Melisa in the text messages. However, now that we know what we know, that is who they were talking about. As I said, the messages were absolutely frightening to read. They just send chills down your body once you understand the context behind those texts. How Maria Fernanda could be so casual about discussing murdering someone is just disturbing. Like, what kind of human being does something like that? She just texted her bodyguard so casually saying, let's meet here tomorrow because I'm gonna kill someone. And the bodyguard just said yes. It's absolutely disturbing, and other key pieces of evidence were messages between Maria Fernanda and Melisa where they agreed to meet up that day and go talk. And there's even an audio recording that captured the argument that they had the day of the murder, moments before Melisa was killed. This audio recording further fueled the speculation about the nature of Melisa and Maria Fernanda's true relationship. Media outlets started talking about how they may have been romantically involved, and testimonies from people close to them indicated that Melisa had confronted Maria Fernanda about a new partner, which created problems between them. In the audio recording, Maria Fernanda can be heard yelling at Melisa, demanding the password to her phone and saying that if she did give it to her, nothing would happen to her. She also accuses Melisa of talking behind her back. In this moment, when Maria Fernanda accuses her of talking behind her back, she says, quote, "You talked bad about me and Elida." And this has been widely discussed both online and in the media. According to Melisa's mom, this woman, Elida, has never come forward to authorities to clarify her role in the case, and there are even reports that she has left the country. Annabella has said that she hopes that one day Elida will step forward, either to clear her own name or to provide information about why this happened to her daughter and about why Maria Fernanda was mentioning her while killing Melisa. It has also been alleged that Elida was romantically involved with Maria Fernanda, and that's what the voice memo was about Melisa spreading rumors about Maria Fernanda and her new girlfriend, maybe she didn't want to be outed. Again, this is all speculation. We truly don't know why Maria Fernanda was saying this or why she was saying that Melisa was talking behind her back about this Elida girl. Normally, I try to stay away from speculation. However, I did just want to include this because Annabella herself has spoken about it. But again, there really isn't more information available. As for where this audio recording came from, I'm not really sure either. I tried to dig deep to figure out who recorded this or what happened. There's not really any reports about that. I'm assuming it was just on either Maria Fernanda's phone or Jose Luis's phone. Why they were recording this moment, I don't know. Some people speculate maybe they wanted to relive what they had done to Melisa. Maybe they wanted to get proof of, her confessing to talking bad about her on the phone. Like, we really just don't know why this moment was recorded. Still, as the case moves forward, going back to Elida, it's possible that this woman could be called to testify. And if that happens, I'll be sure to update you guys on who she is. Now, back to the recording. You can actually hear Melisa sobbing, screaming, and pleading for her life, insisting that she hadn't said anything. Then, all of a sudden, the audio goes silent, and then unmistakable sounds of blows being inflicted can be heard. The audio was horrifying to listen to, just to listen to Melisa begging for them to let her go and to leave her alone, and just hearing how aggressive Maria Fernanda sounds in that video. It's just truly horrifying what Melisa went through in her final moments. Now, this audio recording was a huge piece of evidence for the prosecution. After the arrest, the judge gave a period of 3 months to gather additional evidence and to conclude the investigation. But the legal process quickly became complicated. In December of 2021, Judge Jose Maximino Morales reclassified their charges. Maria Fernanda's accusation was changed from murder to homicide in a state of violent emotion, which would lower her sentence from 50 years to only 2 to 8 years. Jose Luis's charge was also changed from murder to concealment, which would reduce his sentence drastically as well. Not only that, but the judge also excluded the key text messages as evidence, which was a huge issue. It was as if he turned a blind eye to all of the evidence presented. Of course, the judge's decision angered Melisa's family, and they became very vocal about it. A riot formed outside the courts, which actually resulted in Melisa's mom and other people from her group being hit by a police car. Now, thankfully, they only suffered minor injuries, but still, they were going to be vocal about their disapproval no matter what. They felt that the judge was being bought out, especially after learning that Maria Fernanda came from a very powerful family in Guatemala. The following month, in January of 2022, after public pressure, the judge recused himself because his image and his credibility were being damaged. And later, the Supreme Court stripped him of immunity, allowing him to be investigated for irregular rulings in the case. Now, that immunity normally shields judges from lawsuits filed by people unhappy with their rulings, but if a judge is suspected of corruption or misconduct, like Judge Morales, it can be lifted so that they can be investigated and charged like anyone else. Around the same time, Judge Sandra Patricia Mejia took over. However, the delays didn't end there. While all of these legal processes were playing out, like the repeated hearing suspensions from the defense, legal disputes over impartiality, and disputes over the venue, Maria Fernanda managed to stream live on Instagram from prison. Yeah, she just went on Instagram Live. She was being held in prison, of course, in preventative custody, and around 50 people joined this live stream, and they heard her mocking her detention, saying that she would soon be freed and that Melisa's family would just have to accept that. This is something that honestly she continued to echo to the media outside of hearings, which caused so much outrage from the public. Hearing her interviews and just seeing her smiling and smirking and just being like, well, this was a crime of passion. Like, it's just crazy. It was clear that she was receiving privileges in prison, likely at the cost of bribes, because like I mentioned earlier, she came from a very powerful family. So, it's possible that they were bribing people in prison to give her access to items that should not have been allowed, including the cell phone from which she went live from.
Soy yo, María Fernanda Bonilla Archila. En estos momentos estoy enfrentando la justicia con un corazón tranquilo. Tengo un corazón contento y lleno de mucha fe. Dios ha sido bueno y en todo el proceso me ha fortalecido de una manera extraordinaria. Yo no sé si la familia de Melisa Palacios están mal informados por sus señores abogados y por el Ministerio Público. Yo los invito a que así como ellos se prestan para poner en las redes sociales y desviar la información que no es de la manera que ellos lo dicen, yo le digo y espero que así como ustedes, especialmente la periodista Carla Mejía, pone todo, yo espero que así también publique toda la situación que se nos dio desde el inicio de esta comisión que veníamos, por llamarle de esa manera, a esta audiencia. No sé si la familia, nuevamente le repito, de Melisa está mal informada. Señores, les estoy dando la cara. Les estoy dando la cara. Estoy enfrentando la justicia. No sé cuál es el temor de que yo en su momento pueda obtener la libertad. Si ellos están conscientes que mi delito no es asesinato, mi delito es homicidio en estado de emoción violenta.
¿Por qué ese delito, Fernanda? ¿Por qué consideras que se dio de esta forma?
No me interrumpa, estoy dando la entrevista y no tengo más que decirles.
It's just insane. Like, how are you on Instagram Live while you are in prison, being held in custody, about to await a murder trial? Every new development in the case seemed to go in the wrong direction and caused even more pain for the family. They just wanted justice. Another delay came when the new judge, Sandra Patricia Mejia, also recused herself, arguing that her credibility and impartiality were being questioned by the family and the suspect's defense. In April of 2022, the case was transferred to a new judge, Juan Jose Regalado Rivas, and the case was actually moved from the courts in Zacapa to the courts in Chiquimula for this reason. He ended up rejecting the family's request that the charges against Maria Fernanda and Jose Luis be changed back to murder than from the lesser charges that the first judge had reclassified them as. So months passed with no movement in the case. Throughout 2023 and 2024, things were pretty much in limbo until earlier this year in January of 2025. Melisa's family and the Justice for Melisa organization they created demanded that the case be transferred from the courts in Chiquimula to a high-risk court in the capital, Guatemala City, arguing that the courts in Zacapa and Chiquimula were not going to deliver impartial rulings and that a new court would be better equipped to handle the case. But their request was denied. On May 4th, 2024, family and friends of Melisa traveled from Zacapa to Guatemala City, dressed in white and in purple, carrying signs, balloons, photos, and banners to demand justice and denounce all the setbacks that the case had faced. Outside of the Supreme Court, they demanded that her case be transferred to the capital because the suspects in custody were being favored by corruption. One of Melisa's uncles, Mion, described the corrupt system they faced there as a, quote, monster, and insisted that the case be moved. Friends, classmates, and even strangers who didn't know the family joined the march. Their posters read messages like, "Justice for Melisa Palacios. We are here for Melisa. And today I am the voice of the friend who begged you not to hurt her. And justice must be done. Today it is her, but tomorrow it could be my daughter, my mother, or my sister." One person at the march from the community named Jennifer said, quote, "Here, money rules. That's why I'm marching, to demand justice. If one day something happens to me, I want people to accompany my mother. Power has bought justice, and that's why I'm here, to remind them of their oath. Justice is not for the wealthy or the corrupt. It's for everyone." I thought that was really powerful, and this was a really tough and long battle that they had been facing, but thankfully in June of 2025, their fight was heard. The request to move the case to a higher court was accepted. Melisa's family hugged and cried when they heard the news. I mean, finally, after nearly 4 years, the case was heading in a promising direction. This same month, the last judge, Juan Jose Regalado Rivas, was recused, and the case was reassigned to high-risk court C to a new judge named Carol Berganza. Maria Fernanda and Jose Luis were transferred to the capital as well, and on September 2nd of this year, so very recently, Judge Carol ruled that the case must go straight into the pre-trial stage for murder for both of them. So this went back to the original charges, not the lesser charges that the first judge had reclassified them as, which again were homicide in an emotional state for Maria Fernanda and concealment for Jose Luis. Now it was clear. The court recognized the seriousness and the planning of the crime based on the evidence presented, and the case is finally going to move towards a trial. Again, another step in the right direction for justice.
Mi motivo es en busca de justicia por mi hija. Espero que hoy pueda resolver algo. A 4 años pueda resolver algo y tener un poco de paz. Ya luché en Zacapa, no se pudo, luché en Chiquimula tampoco, y espero que aquí en la capital sí lo pueda lograr.
Also, on September 2nd, the Victims Institute, which is a government institution established to provide support and protection for victims of crime, whose lawyers have actually been helping Melisa's family, said along with her family that some files, audios, and photographs from the case went missing during the transfer from Chiquimula and Zacapa. So they requested that the documentation be checked to ensure that nothing essential is missing missing and that no personnel, was bribed or something like that to get rid of this evidence on purpose, as of course this could affect the trial. So until the next hearing takes place, Melisa's family is still once again forced into a period of waiting. They have already gone through years of delays, suspensions, setbacks, so hopefully this gets moving once and for all. At the time that I am recording this video, this is where the case stands, but I will definitely update you guys as soon as this case moves forward or if there are any updates. Melisa's family has been relentless in the fight for justice. They have organized marches, they have stood outside courtrooms, and they have spoken to the press, just doing everything in their power to keep her case from slipping through the cracks, being further delayed, and ultimately forgotten. On Melisa's birthdays and the anniversaries of her death, they hold gatherings with flowers, with balloons, and with prayers. Her family says that they are motivated to keep fighting by all the support from the public and just all the support that the community has shown them. But above all, they're motivated because they know that Melisa would want them to fight as well. She was a fighter and she had a bright future ahead of her, which was taken away by someone who she trusted and someone meant to be her friend. It's all just horrifying. And, her university honored her in 2022 by awarding her a posthumous academic merit diploma, recognizing the degree that she had worked so hard for. For Annabella, receiving that diploma was bittersweet. It's great that she got her degree, but also, the fact that she got it posthumous is just heartbreaking. She just wants her daughter to get justice. Instead, she is forced to keep seeing the faces of her killers in court, seeing them surrounded by security and protection, even wearing bulletproof vests. Like, it's infuriating. Maria Fernanda shows up to these hearings wearing a bulletproof vest, and it's upsetting for all of Melisa's family to see her with all of this protection because it just reminds them how Melisa had no protection herself. Every time they go to a new hearing, it makes the family feel as if they are reliving Melisa's death again and again, but they also say that this fuels their determination to just keep fighting for Melisa and for all the women in Guatemala whose cases never got followed through or remains unsolved. I do want to end the video with something Melisa's uncle Francisco said that just absolutely broke my heart. He said, quote, "Our family was never the same again. We have had to find the strength to keep moving forward. It is an experience I would not wish on anyone. Although I know that unfortunately in this country, there are many families who share this pain. And the hardest part is that many of them never found justice, which is exactly what we are still searching for. What happened to Melisa is heartbreaking, and it just should not have happened. She deserves justice, and I truly hope that Melisa's families get the answer that they deserve and the justice that they're looking for. The people who thought that they had the right to take a beautiful life must be held accountable and just pay for what they did and the pain that her loved ones have had to go through because of their actions. My deepest condolences go out to Melisa's loved ones, and I am so sorry that this happened to this beautiful human being. I will have the Victims Institute and Melisa's organization pages linked down below for you guys to check out and show support. Honestly, just watching Maria Fernanda smirk as she's entering the hearings and being interviewed by the press, it's disgusting and it's honestly disturbing. I truly believe that she has no remorse for what she has done, and it angers me. She killed Melisa. Like, she stoned her to death. How is that a laughing matter? Why is she smirking? And I'm glad that the charges were brought back to murder. Let me know what you guys think about this down below. I know it was such an incredibly difficult video to listen to. It's truly horrifying what Melisa went through in her final moments and how scared and confused she must have been at the fact that this person that she trusted, whether, again, if she was in a romantic relationship with her or just friends with her, would betray her in such a horrifying way and stone her to death. I don't understand why this happened and why Maria Fernanda and Jose Luis felt that they had the right to do this, that they had the right to take this beautiful soul away from us and away from her family. Again, let me know what you guys think about this down below, and I will definitely keep you guys posted if there are any new updates. Thank you guys just so much for being here and for helping me spread awareness on what happened to Melisa and for keeping her name out here. I also wanted to remind you guys that I just announced the newly revamped newsletter, which, as I mentioned in my previous video, was known as the Familia newsletter and is now True Crime Jackie News. This newsletter is another way to connect with each other, and each month I'll be sharing helpful resources, I'll be sharing information on missing persons, I'll be sharing safety and expert tips, organizations that you guys should be aware of, and there will also be like a small Q&A section at the bottom of the newsletter to answer any questions that you may have. So I'm really excited to connect with you guys through this platform, and every issue will be sent out the first Monday of every month. So if you're not already signed up for our newsletter, you guys can do so with the link in the description box down below. below. Thank you guys again so much for being here and for always showing this channel so much support. You guys are truly the best familia ever, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, everyone.